Welcome in, guys. It's Daft Kid again. Remember, guys, if you like what you're seeing, you like the content that we're producing, please hit that subscribe button. Please follow us on all social media platforms. Let's get right into it. Welcome in, guys. This is your host, Daft Kid, here on the EDM Filter Show, EDM Filter Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. Can I just give you guys some word of advice? Okay, don't pull a me. Make sure you hit the record button before you record anything, because you don't want to be like 20 minutes in realizing you didn't record anything. Just saying. Okay, just want to throw that out there. All right, let's get into today's news. So, first of all, guys, in case you're wondering, we will have our guest DJ coming up in our next episode. Our next performer, he has something very special in store for us. Keep in tune with that. Make sure you're keeping up with all our latest news, because we still want that to happen, and we hope that happens very soon. With that being said, let's get into it. So, in case you guys haven't heard, funny enough, in the wake of all this Daft Punk news that's been coming out, right, their anniversary album, all the new content, which is amazing, Spotify has decided to drop some news of themselves. Has anybody heard of the new AI DJ function, voiceover? I know I didn't until recently. Before I really get into that, let me just take a step back. Now, everyone usually, when they listen to music, use apps like, as we already know, on our phones, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. Great features, great apps. We love listening to music, right? I think this feature might just be a bit of a game changer, and let me tell you why. Now, usually when people are like looking into finding new music, you know, they use these different apps and services, right? And we already know that, I'm sure every single one of you who's watching this right now has used Spotify before, has probably used like Amazon Music, say Apple Music, and so on and so forth. Tidal now. They all essentially curate playlists for you, right? All these apps and companies use these algorithms to essentially dictate, okay, what kind of music do I like? What kind of music am I looking into? And what is really popular right now? What is it that this app or the company thinks that I'm going to like and start following? They usually do a pretty good job at that. I think there's been a couple times actually how amazed I've been at finding this new content, this new music, and thinking to myself, how is it I did not find this sooner? How come I'm just finding out about this artist now? Or better yet, where has this person been all this time? I definitely have not been able to look for these people, or haven't heard anything about them. But then sure enough, here's, let's say, Spotify creating this playlist for me, putting, let's say, sometimes not even just one or two, maybe up to 3 tracks of the same person. And I'm finding out, what? Where have they been, you know? But it's all good. I think that's the best part now about these apps and about these music services, is all the hard part, if you will, of finding new music and finding stuff that you're really into. All that stress and whatever word you want to use or call it, that just gets you, right? You're just like, man, I'm hungry for something new, but I just don't know where to look or can't find it. Sure enough, these platforms provide you the opportunity to lay back and just listen to something new. But now Spotify is launching this AI function. Now look, guys, I'm all about technology, and I'm about AI and all the great things it does. I mean, if we talk about features like with our phones alone, Alexa, Bixby, any other features that are AI voiceovers that I can't think of right now, please leave a comment in the section below if you guys can think of any other ones. But they do a great job of finding new information, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, guys. I personally used Bixby quite a bit of times, and it's really interesting. You know, it's not really the most life-changing feature, if you will, right? I mean, you could always just literally Google what you're looking for, and Google's going to tell you everything you need to know. But there's Bixby right there. I mean, instead of typing it, you just literally tell it, right? Hey, Bixby, what's going on with the weather today, for example, and it'll tell me everything I need to know about my local weather. And it saves me a little bit of time, saves me, I guess, the hassle, if you will, of just really researching anything. The research has been done, and it's now being given to me. And that's where this AI function comes into play, because essentially now there's really no need for the playlist to come up on your feed, right? I remember at one point, and I can't necessarily just speak on Spotify. I've at this point used pretty much every single music platform, and they're all pretty great and unique in their own ways. But every single one of them has their own curated playlist feature, if you will, right? And at the end of the day, it shows me something new, and I'm into it. I don't have to do the research like I mentioned. It's just already there. And for music goers like myself, that could be really exciting because I'm always looking for something new. I'm always looking for that edge. And there's not a better feeling than finding a new song to put in a mix, and a song that you know people are really going to rock to. And sure enough, I've been in that position time and time again, finding something new, whether Spotify, let's say Apple Music, Amazon Music recommends me something. I'm like, great, why did I not find that before? Who knows? But I found it now. I got it in my mix, and here's someone complimenting me later in the day or the next time I release something. They're telling me, dude, who is that? Where'd you find that song? Link it to me right now. And I'm just like, there you have it. Well, the AI feature is pretty much going to curate that playlist for you, put together pull music, and communicate it to you. Now, I do highly recommend you guys, if you haven't seen the commercial for this feature yet, because I do have a commercial for it now. I think it's only like 30 seconds. I really like it, actually. I mean, it's not necessarily like something extravagant, if you will. I think they did a good job, though, of, displaying what the feature really does, and from like an emotional perspective, if you will. Again, we all listen to music to vibe, right? There's other reasons why we listen to music. Drop a comment in the section below. Let me know how you listen to your music. But I think overall, people love to listen to music to distress a bit sometimes, right? And if you will, escape from the world that we live in, which not necessarily that it's a really bad thing or anything like that. But hey, we all have different lives. We're all doing different things, and sometimes listening to the right song could be life changing. I mean, you'd be surprised. I'm sure there's plenty of stories we could even look up right now on the internet. If you Google it or AI it, and you'll find, I'm sure, plenty of stories of people saying that just hearing the right song at the right time really changed their life, put them in a different perspective, encourage them to do different things. Well, this AI function is essentially doing all that for you, because now this function, or the AI itself, is going to be communicating to you. And as it communicates to you, it's pretty much letting you know, hey, I picked this song, I picked this track, I'm actually even recommending you this playlist because I think you're going to feel a certain way. I mean, how does this AI know how I feel exactly? I don't know. Maybe I should get more into the tech realm, finding out how these algorithms work. But nonetheless, the algorithm's there, and it's taking a big effect. I like to DJ. I like to put on mixes. So I think that one of the best parts about music is being able to, like I mentioned earlier, listen to a new mix, especially if your favorite artist. I used to do that all the time before I really got into all these music apps, right? I think it's, I guess also too, I'm speaking from an electronic point of view. I can't really say the same for anyone who puts out, let's say, hip hop sets or mixes, I don't know, rock mixes, whatever, pop. I can't really speak from that perspective, but what I can say about electronic music and why I love it personally so much is, you put the right songs together with the right kind of sounds, you're really creating a story, and the story only gets better the longer the story is, right? So personally, I like to put at least together about an hour or so. Sometimes a half-hour mix isn't too bad. Maybe half an hour is all it takes to get to work, and that half an hour is just all it takes for someone to really get into the right mindset and enjoy the rest of their day. Half an hour could be all the time it takes for someone to listen to the wrong kind of music, and it puts them in the wrong mood, and well, they're not really having the best day, let's just say that. For me, though, I always like to follow people who I know every single time they put out something, it's going to make me feel a certain way. Even better if it's new content, right? There's nothing about listening to a good story. Any of you out there readers, I'm sure you've read a great book before where you told yourself at the end of it, wow, I was able to really follow this entire story. I was even maybe able to relate to it in some way. And the emotional impact that it made on me makes me want to do something. Can't say whether that's positive or negative, but let's just say it just gives you a reaction. And I think that's the best part. Getting a reaction. I always get a reaction when I listen to mixes, and I'm very, very grateful to be able to hear that people get reactions from my mixes. Well, this might just take all that away though, because at this point, well, let's say maybe you're not like really, really obsessed with, music or finding new content, or you're not really, let's say, technical when it comes to mixes or really what it's all about, what it takes to make these kind of things, especially if someone's performing one. Maybe you're just fine with listening to regular songs and tracks and just music in general, right, on your Spotify app, which is perfectly fine. But then there's the whole creativity aspect of people curating all this music, right? Because, well, you could argue that technology in general, AI and all this stuff is taking away people's jobs, taking away possibility of opportunities and this and that. And I mean, I'm sure we could spend a whole hour just talking about, the positive and negatives of technology, and especially AI, and, just to think that this is kind of like the beginning stages, of where we're currently at in the overall picture of how AI could develop one day. I mean, we've all seen Terminator, right? I don't want Terminator to happen. I really don't. But the crazy thing about it is it's very, very possible now. Maybe not literally like right now. I don't think we literally have like cybernetic robots that are gonna come after us and try to kill us all, right? I don't think we're quite there. But in the sense of, I think we're pretty much in a time of history where we have the technology to start developing that kind of AI that could one day develop itself to be a problem. Now, of course, we're all crossing our fingers that doesn't happen, right? And I'm sure all these techies and all these people in the business are doing everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. But that's the thing about AI. It's just constantly evolving, right? It's just constantly getting smarter and smarter. And that's really its main focus. Like, it's created to evolve within itself and become smarter and smarter and do all the heavy lifting, so to speak, for us. Well, here we got some heavy lifting being taken for us. No need to do the research. No need to ponder, if you will. What do I need to listen to? It's already done for you. I think this is unique because this is just, like I mentioned, right, the beginning of AI. But this is also now just the beginning for AI being infused in music. Because, well, I mean, I'm not going to say that one day, although it's been very much so speculated, and actually I believe a pretty detailed article came out one day about it, and please guys, find the article, link in the comment section below. I would love to actually be able to read that article again, but I think some article came out maybe, I want to say 3 years ago now, 4 years, and they were talking about actually one day robots, right, AI robots, essentially doing the DJs at the clubs for us. The funniest part about this article though is how they talk about that regular people, like DJs, human beings, already don't really do the best job sometimes, right? So now look, that just sounds crazy to me, because obviously a club, if we're talking about a club, isn't gonna hire a DJ who doesn't know what he's doing, right? I understand that, really, at least this is my opinion, I guess, but from my understanding, all the clubs really care about is just making sure that you're playing something, people are able to vibe to it, and your transitions aren't so black and white, so bad to where, people are about to walk out because, when you're transitioning from one song to the next, there's some crazy static noise, or there's, maybe you forgot to turn off an effect, say your delay or something, and so your next track is now being delayed into your current track, and then you got this chaotic sound going on and people's eardrums being blown out. Now you got a liability issue, and it goes on and on and on, so to speak, right? Is a robot really going to do that much of a better job replacing a regular human being DJ in a club? Well, someone once told me, if you put the right kind of list of music together, now I'm talking about like jukeboxes. We all know what a jukebox is, right? There's plenty of jukeboxes you could find. Now even in a lot of like main chain restaurants are adding jukeboxes now. Someone once told me, you go to a dive bar, you don't have a couple drinks or so, of course you like to have a DJ, right? The DJ is going to set this vibe. It's going to set this unique experience for you, if you will, where you're going to be able to, just engulf yourself in the moment. Forget about everything else. I think that's what makes DJs very, very unique. But if you have a robot now doing this stuff for you, is it really going to know what to play next? I think that's what makes this whole situation very unique, because it comes down to perspective, right? It comes down to the so-called vibe that's being created. Someone once told me, if you put the right songs together in a list, let's say in a jukebox, right? You go to a dive bar or whatever, there's any kind of bar, they have a jukebox. You're willing to spend some money to put the right songs on. And let's say you yourself, right there in the moment, you create a playlist of, let's say, 15 to 20 songs. I have people tell me, hey, sure, I guess, if we're going to get super technical and talk about transitions and, them not being so-called smooth, sure, I guess you're not going to get the best quality music experience, if you will, in those regards. But at the end of the day, the songs are still going to be played. They play back to back, one after the other. And no one's there to, how do you say, critique the technicalness of how these songs are being played out, right? So all people care is that they're there to have a drink, talk to some friends, mingle, if you will, and have a good time. And hey, if someone's playing some good music in the background, that's a big plus. But what if, certain people leave the bar, some people come into the bar, different scenery of people, change up the vibe a bit. The DJ, or I'm sorry, the AI robot who potentially might take over one day from all the human beings, might not know in the right moment when to switch up the vibe, might not know when to essentially give what the people want in the moment. And I think that's what makes a lot of different DJs very unique, because some guys are really, really good at that. I mean, talk about, first of all, really knowing your music, just knowing your stuff in general. And then, these guys really have, like, in the back of their head, all these different, things to do, if you will. Like, in certain situations, they know, hey, if this kind of vibe starts coming around, if maybe I see people not dancing as much, maybe people are beginning to kind of sway away from the dance floor, I know exactly what to play to get people right back into it. The robot, though, is just going to be like, well, according to my analytics here, I understand that these songs are very popular, so I'm just going to play what's popular. And technically, no one in the crowd could stop me, because I'm just a robotic thing that's just doing my job, which is being programmed to play analytically what's most popular. I don't think that's what people really want. Now, let's be real for a second, guys. If we're talking about like legit AI robots, like in the movie I, Robot or something, I don't think a robot DJ in that sense is going to take over anything for a very long time. But what about these jukeboxes? What about these other services that they provide in nightclubs, bars, restaurants, if you will, where people could pretty much think that, hey, there's really no need now to worry about saying the vibe, because the vibe is now being, robotically done, if you will. I think overall, as far as the impact of all this goes, I think it kind of takes away some of the uniqueness and the creativity that a lot of these artists, including myself, is trying to put out for people to listen to. I mentioned earlier, and again, I'm kind of more speaking from an electronic perspective here, right? You really get a sense of someone telling a story when they really know what they're putting together. Okay, when I say that, I mean, this is why I think, like if we're gonna talk about raves, let's say, they're not gonna die for a very long time, because there's something different and there's something special about really being able to listen to an artist or performer put together this music. Then the end is telling a story, and it's like a self-evolving story. It's constantly changing as it's going, and the vibe is changing, if you will, as the story's going. But no one complains about it, no one's worried about it, and it's not a big deal, because everyone's already so engulfed and into what's already being played, that once the new vibe starts being made, the new songs or tracks are being laid out, it's all just this one big story, and everyone is so hooked into it from the first 5 chapters, if we're speaking from a book perspective here, or let's say then in music, after the 5 first songs, people probably at that point are like, man, this guy is already making me feel a certain way. He could probably put something just completely lame right after right now, and I'm still going to be completely into it, because my whole body energy, if you will, is already set on being a part of this ride, so to speak. I think right now, if we're speaking about electronic music, the one way anyone could try to make it into the scene is trying to be as unique as possible. And with that comes the storytelling. With that comes with being able to put mixes together and performances. I'm just kind of speaking too from like an MP3, audio perspective, of guys putting together mixes and sets, if you will. But what about like the guys who, video record themselves, do performances? That's why I think Great Mixcloud is really going to start exploding at a whole different level. They've always been dedicated to DJs and those who do podcasts, radio, and to upload all your content. And I mean, it's always been great, right, to be able to, like I've been mentioning, listen to people's mixes and stuff they put up. But I think it's even way more unique, and really, as I've been preaching since the start, kind of a game changer, because now you could live stream yourself. Everyone before us was doing IG Live, let's say Facebook Live, any other platforms. Again, guys, leave in the comment section below if you have something new that I haven't mentioned yet. But all these different streaming services, which have been good, good services, good forms of, good outlets of putting out your content. There's technically nothing wrong with, let's say, IG Live or Facebook Live. But Mixcloud, being that it specifically emphasizes on those who DJ, those who do podcasts, radio shows, and now that kind of media of content, now to be able to have the ability to live stream yourself, and we're talking about live stream to the world, right? And all the cool features that comes with it, curating the times that you perform, the times you release content, all these different things. In my opinion, I think it really makes all the difference in the world. And some people might say, unfortunately, I don't know if I really want to, go through the hassle, if you will, or really go through having to upload or bring up, Mixcloud on my computer or even my phone. Maybe I'm not in the best data area or something like that. And so, it's kind of a bit of a hassle to watch this guy stream. Let me just go over to the Spotify app, and my new, DJ AI is going to pretty much tell me everything I need to do, or what I need to listen to. And I can't even argue with it, because most likely it's actually going to start playing something that I really, really like. And I'm going to get super into it and hooked in. And who knows, maybe an hour passes and you're thinking to yourself, wow, it was a much easier experience and a more pleasant one, if you will, to use my new DJ AI feature, because my personal DJ over here told me everything I needed to listen to. And I wasn't mad. I enjoyed every single last bit of it. Whether that's to the guy that's performing or streaming himself, well, I know there's the text box section, right? You could comment, leave a comment, and the performer could see people commenting as they perform. I'm sure people could say in that comment section, hey, dude, or ma'am, miss, I'm not really feeling what you're playing, or, don't really like that song, or, hey, can you play this request? Everyone knows everyone's got a request for the DJ, right? So, and I have to say, I would say, at least, again, it's just my opinion, guys, if I was in the middle of performance and I already know exactly the kind of vibe I'm going to put together, and people are trying to just hit me with the requests left and right, if we're talking from a storytelling perspective, I got my story that I'm telling. You can't be coming in here and telling me how to tell my story, because I know the story that I'm telling. And hey, I get it. All books aren't for everybody. All music isn't for everybody. All mixes isn't for everybody. And that's totally okay. In which case, at that point, I would think people would leave, maybe not listen to that person again, or wait till the next stream or mix they put out and hope that, things are going to be much better, right? Or they're going to feel this more. And hey, I'm sure you tell your DJ AI, listen, dude, I'm not feeling this song you just put. He's going to quickly be like, no problem. I'll put you with something that you've already listened to before, that you've played many, many times. Let's say you've had it on repeat for a whole day. I think we've all had that experience before, where we have a song that we just found, or or maybe from our favorite artist we've been following. They just released something and we love the song so much, we pretty much have it literally on repeat all day long, and you wonder to yourself, how's this not getting old already? This song just smacks, right? It just hits right where it needs to. And well, I don't think the AI is really going to care in the end whether it really hits you or not. It's just following the rules. The rules is the algorithm that's programmed in it to do what it needs to do to produce the content that, let's say, a company like Spotify or Amazon or Apple thinks you're going to like. And well, speaking about AI interaction already, I mentioned earlier using, let's say, Alexa, Bixby. They do a really good job using pretty much the exact same algorithms to hit you with the content you really want to hear. I can't be mad about that, right? I mean, it's what I want to hear. How can I be mad about not hearing or listening to something that I want to hear, right? It's going to give me what I want. And I think that's really what it comes down to. Human DJs sometimes don't give us what we want. The AI, on the other hand, though, is literally programmed to give us what we want. Is that really going to be a game changer? Does that really make anything worse, if you will? Is this going to be a problem down the future? Well, again, if we're talking about Terminator style robots here, yeah, that's going to be a big problem. Big problem down the line, right? Right? For all I know, we might not get to even close to that stage. Maybe, 50 years from now. But 50 years isn't really that long or that far away when you really think about it. Especially when we're talking about the evolution of technology in general, not just AI, but just in general. 50 years isn't that far away, but that still is 50 years. 50 years from now, I'll be a pretty old man, and it's actually pretty possible I might not be around anymore in 50 years. So, hey, I guess you could say I could keep the mindset that, well, I won't have to deal with this issue down the line. But I'm sure that's what all the, world leaders and politicians said about global warming 20 years ago. And look at us now, right? But I'm just saying, I think at the end of the day, guys, there's a lot of things to consider here, right? Particularly from a business perspective. I can only imagine that this is really going to take effect or really impact all the indie, novice, intermediate artists, DJs, people trying to put up content. Because now they got to really essentially, fight against the AI here. They have to compete against the AI. Whereas to all these, top-notch people, guys on top of the world, well, they're already on top of the world. They don't have to worry about anything. They know that they have millions of followers and people that are going to listen to their content every single day. But if I'm over here just starting off, let's say I have a few releases out, all original content, and let's say I have like an EP or maybe an album out, all original content, with a total of, let's say, all my content put together, let's say I have about 20 tracks. 20 tracks compared to, oh boy, how many tracks has Tiesto released? I know we spoke about that last time. Tiesto, he's been in the game, man, for a really long time. I think he has probably a catalog over 200 songs, and we're talking about over the span of several maybe generations, whereas I only have maybe, let's say, a total of 20 songs, and well, they're not really at the level that I'm looking for, right? Anyways, guys, that's pretty much today's episode. I just wanted to get, touch in a little bit on the situation, right? Because who knows how serious this might get. Maybe 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the line, people really won't want to hire regular human beings anymore to do these events. I like to think that the regular DJ, and I'm talking about guys or girls, women, who for a living, play music for weddings, birthdays, banquets, if you will, company parties, whatever option you like to choose. They might not want to hire anybody now to play for these events, when they might just ask themselves, why would I hire a human being that might do a good job, might do a great job, might do an excellent job? I mean, talk about playing all the classics. And really, it's kind of funny when you think about it. A lot of these people, DJs who do regular parties, weddings, whatever you name it, a lot of times I had to think like weddings specifically, right? The bride and groom already have like a list of songs that the DJ wants to play, right? For this part of the ceremony, this part, we would like to play this. Hey, you'd be surprised that, some people are really, really, how do you say, personable about their wedding and how they want it to go down. So, you might have someone come, at you a little sideways, if you will, because they didn't like that you played the song a little early that they wanted to. Or maybe it was the right kind of vibe, but not the right song, if that makes sense, And I mean, no one really wants to get negative reviews. Nobody wants to get any backlash for doing their job, the wrong way, let's say. If you're even doing your job the wrong way, right? But that just really eliminates an entire scenario, all this stress, things possibly going wrong with the human being. Because, hey, like people say, right? We are only just human, guys. We all make mistakes. No one technically is absolutely perfect where they make no mistakes ever. I don't think you would be the human being then if that was the case. That's just my opinion. But to put in perspective, is there really a need to hire a human being to DJ at these parties or events that you need one at, when, hey, you just tell someone to connect their phone and put the Spotify DJ, and he'll be actually communicating to the whole party and asking everybody, hey, what do you guys prefer, this song or this song? Oh wait, by the way, that was a rhetorical question because I know exactly what you want to hear. Anyways, guys, this has been Daft Kid on the EDM Filter Podcast. Please tune in on the next episode. Can't wait to see you then. See you in the next one.